what the intense January lunar eclipse has in store for you. Hi, I'm Donna Stellhorn. I do videos on astrology and Feng Shui, and welcome to my channel, especially if you're new. If you are, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. Hit the like button, tell your friends about this. And as we go through by sign, there will be some timestamps in the description box below to help you jump to your sign. So this is a lunar eclipse in January, and so lunar eclipses are a little less intense than solar eclipses. Solar eclipses are more when things happen to you, whereas lunar eclipses are more connected to your longing, towards you're needing something to happen, and therefore you set things in motion. But lunar eclipses still can change your life quite substantially, and so we're going to talk about it. Now, this is the Capricorn Cancer lunar eclipse. It's at 20 degrees of Cancer, and of course 20 degrees of Capricorn. It falls on the full moon. All lunar eclipses fall on the full moon. But this one has a few notable features to it. First of which being that Saturn is exactly conjunct Pluto at 22 degrees of Capricorn. We'll talk about what that means in a moment. Additionally, we have Jupiter conjunct the South Node, which does mean for everybody across the board, it's going to give us the inclination to avoid, to distract ourselves, to run back to things that perhaps we feel safe doing, rather than pursuing things that are really in our highest, best interest. And finally, there's a yod between Mars, North Node, and Uranus. And a yod is a configuration made up of two inconjuncts, some people call them quincunxes, and a sextile. Inconjunct configurations are also called the finger of God, which some people say is kind of like God giving you the finger. So it can feel like your life is not going smoothly, that everything is outside of your comfort zone. But I'm going to tell you today how to deal with that. Okay, Aries natives, this lunar eclipse is hitting your 410. That means that the majority of energy is going to be dealing with your home, family, foundations, possible endings, but also there is some residual energy in your area of career. And so things dealing with your career may affect your home life may be affecting your career. But what's more important is that very intense Saturn Pluto conjunction, which is going to be going on for a long time, is affecting your career. And what that does is it takes what you have built and it pretty much pokes holes in it. It says, you know, is this a strong foundation? Do you really know what you're doing? Do you have expertise? Are you dealing with people with integrity? Are you feeling like you're an imposter? And so this is all designed to make you feel stronger, but yes, it's not a very comfortable feeling, and you need to lean in and do more of what it is that you want to be doing with your career, not necessarily what your job is, but your career, so that you can move forward on your real life path. Now, it's interesting too, because the South Node Jupiter, that place where we could go and distract ourselves and all of that, is also in that house of career for you, which means that you may get a call from somebody you've worked for in the past, and they may be kind of pulling you back towards something you've done before. And this is not good for you. You need to move forward, even though that feels hard. And here's where that yod comes in, that finger of God. The inclination that you're going to have is that you should go back to school, that you should study, that you should buy a lot of books or courses or things like that. And as a person who sells books and courses, normally I would say, hey, that's wonderful, but in your case, that's not the way to go. The way to go is to first listen to what close friends and family are saying, and then look at what you're doing and ask yourself, can this directly make me money? Because that would then tell you that this is in line with your life path. This is the way to move forward. Okay, Taurus natives, you guys are getting hit in the area of the 3-9, and that means that We're talking about education, communication, thinking process, long distance travel, legal matters. And so the eclipse energy has something to do with these for you. Now, the energy can be that you are thinking about writing a book, or you're struggling with negative thinking, or perhaps you are now starting to work with visualization and you're starting to get some results, but you're feeling some doubts. And then the opposite end of this eclipse is up in that house of education, and so you're wondering if maybe more education is needed. And this is where that Saturn Pluto conjunction comes in, where you want to look at sorry, that's the cat. Where you want to look at where the holes in your education are, where can you really specifically hone in on what you need to do and learn about, rather than taking large nebulous courses on things. So, you know, if you just need a few Photoshop skills, find that on YouTube or take a very specialized course, rather than taking, you know, a 4-year course in computer science, for example. Now, your inclination is going to be with that Mars, which is doing that yod that I was talking about, and your Mars is sitting in that house of resources from others, and so you may be thinking, I can't do anything on what I want to do because I don't have the means to do it. Or you may be looking to borrow money. Now, utilizing that Mars, you can actually find some free sources of support, but it's going to feel uncomfortable because that's connected to those two yods that was connected to those two inconjuncts that I was talking about. So one of the inconjuncts is to that North Node in your 3rd house of communication. So that is practice asking for help. But that's when you want to do that sextile to Uranus that is in your 1st house. That is, do it when you haven't planned it out. You know, do it when you just feel suddenly moved to say, hey, can you help me out here? And that person may say, well, I don't have money, but I do have the skills, and so I'll show you how to do the skills. Or I do know a teacher who could help you out. And so look at that, being guided by that spontaneity rather than being focused on very conventional means of finding the resources to get to your goals. Okay, Gemini natives, you're doing the eclipse in your 2/8. These are the money houses, and so we do know that that means that for Geminis, you will have this longing to get your finances in order, to really start making some money. And there could be a feeling like you've been up against the wall for a while, that it's more challenging than ever. And yet, this is the time over now to the next 6 months where you're going to get major opportunities. Now, the other side of this eclipse is in your 8th house of resources from others, where we have that conjunction of Saturn and Pluto. Saturn is the structure, that is your written budget, or maybe the lack thereof. It is your investment plan, or maybe your plans to have an investment plan. And here comes Pluto to poke some holes in that, to basically tear down whatever it is that your plan is, so that you can rebuild. And that is to go through your plan, go through your written budget and see if it's really legitimate. Or if you have maybe financial goals and you keep missing them month after month, maybe you need to think of a different way of doing it. So it's asking you to restructure how you're doing investing. And maybe it's just a matter of you've been planning to do automatic investing or automatic deposits and you haven't done the paperwork. It's just time to get on that. Now, the part of the yod, the Mars in Sagittarius, is going through your 7th house, and so the inclination is that you might be waiting for somebody else to take an action before you can do anything, and that is causing frustration. But that is leading to that inconjunct to the North Node in the 2nd house, which says that if you will start to do something more spiritual, like meditation, visualization, affirmations towards money, you will start to see opportunities where you've been waiting in the past. And also look at that Uranus in the 12th house, which is that, again, that inconjunct, which is saying go do some things that are uncomfortable, working behind the scenes. Maybe you're working in the evenings, maybe it's a second job, but it's something where you're not feeling like maybe you can tell everybody about it. Maybe you're starting a business, but it's on the down low. And so you're doing this behind the scenes, but this is what's going to emerge to help you, both financially and with your relationships. So Cancer natives, you are doing this eclipse in the 1-7 because basically this is an eclipse in your sign. That means you're going to be affected by this energy than other signs. And so the first thing is to be kind to yourself. Don't push yourself to points where you're so uncomfortable that you don't want to do anything at all. And also, don't beat yourself up about things you haven't done in the past. Just be gentle with yourself. But also acknowledge your feelings, because as you acknowledge your feelings, which is I am uncomfortable, or I am scared, or I have anxiety, as you acknowledge those feelings will reduce inside of you, and that will help you so that you can take action towards the things you need to do. Now, because it's a 1-7 energy, the energy says that what you're struggling with is some sort of relationship. This could be a personal partnership, a business partnership, close friends, or maybe somebody who was a friend who is not a friend anymore. And so the energy here is about looking at that friendship and what parts were good, what parts weren't working, and look at how you can protect yourself in the future. And that is whether you stay with that person or not. So if you have had a sense of betrayal, if you've had a sense of loss with this person, how can you move forward with this person and have a really solid relationship by protecting yourself and being aware that you're going to trust yourself maybe more than that other person. Now, on the other hand, if you're not in this close type of relationship, if you can't think of somebody, this can be that somebody is coming into your life, and this is causing that stress of you thinking, oh my gosh, here I go again. I've met somebody, I'm interested, but, is my heart vulnerable? Is this okay to get into another relationship? And again, this is that Saturn Pluto saying, where are you safe in a relationship? Well, the place where you're safe is, you know who you are. That person, while they may disappoint you, you know that disappointment is survivable, and that, that there's billions of people on this planet. So if that person doesn't work out, the next one, maybe that one will work out, or the next one will work out, or the next one will work out. And so you just keep going. Now, one of the things that will help you considerably in this process is when you feel good physically. And so Mars is going through your 6th house, and it's making that inconjunct to the North Node in your 1st, which does say that it is time to take care of yourself. If there's something you're doing that you know that your body's not happy with, then try not to do so much of that, or try to give that up entirely. Take walks when you can, if the weather permits, look at beautiful things, eat some vegetables, do those things that are good for your body. Additionally, there's the inconjunct to Uranus, which says that a lot of your friends and your acquaintances, those people who, are fun to be with, they're busy right now, and it's very hard to connect with them. But that doesn't mean they're not there for you. Just because they're not knocking on your door doesn't mean you can't knock on their door. And when you do that, then you feel more balanced, you feel more in harmony and in flow, and then deeper, closer relationships can form. All right, Leo natives, this eclipse is happening in your 6-12. These are health houses, and if there are things that are going on with your health, it is really time for you to start treating your body as the sacred temple that it is. And that can mean anything from doing a dramatic change where, maybe you're tossing out all the sugar or pouring the alcohol down the drain or whatever, or just adding some healthful aspects to your day by maybe, 5 minutes of yoga every day, maybe 5 minutes of meditation every day, so that you can start incrementally feeling better. This is also about your daily life and work routines, looking at all your habits and saying, if you wish you were getting more things done or you wish that you were moving towards your goals, is how can you incrementally do that? And one of the keys with this eclipse is getting better sleep. And so there's tons of research on this, everything from shutting off devices to specialized pillows and things like that. So take a little time to find some sort of way that you can get better sleep. Now, one of the things that we're seeing here is the Mars is in the 5th house, and that says, what kind of fun are you having? Because what it's showing is that you may not be feeling either comfortable in taking time off to have fun, or nothing feels fun anymore. And so when we look at this, this is saying that one of the things that you need is to go into more visualization, more of the fantasy world, more like creating something that's beautiful. And that could be just you sitting, visualizing a lovely beach or a wonderful mountain hike. Or it is going to the movies, but not going to the movies to see people chopped up by some smiling, crazy person, but instead going to a movie where it's happy and there's a happy ending. And so that you have these good feelings. Or, go hold a puppy. Now, it also says that one of the key things for you would be shifting things in your career. And this is not a comfortable idea, I know that, but it is just to say, let's just start to think about it. That might be putting out your resume, or even just dusting off your resume and updating it, looking at your LinkedIn profile, updating that, just doing a few little steps to say, I'm open to some career opportunities if they came. Then you'll be doing that sextile to the North Node that activates the universe. The universe brings in opportunities, and that's going to feel fun and exciting again. Then your life is going to feel like it's technicolor, like it's beautiful. Technicolor. I just told you how old I am. If you don't know what Technicolor is, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Okay, Virgo natives, this eclipse hits your 511, specifically 11th house, which indicates friendships, acquaintances, your future, and of course your technology. So you may be yearning to have more friends in your life, or maybe you have had some sort of separation with a friend and you have a desire to reconnect. This is also can be that you're running into issues with technology. Maybe it's time to get a new phone, or maybe it's time to work on your knowledge of technology because it affects your career. So, but I think that this is mostly going to be around personal relationships, because the other half of this eclipse is in your area of romance. And what it has is that Saturn Pluto conjunction, which says that what you were thinking, or basically how you feel that relationships, whether they be friendships or romance, work, it's the Pluto has come to poke some holes in that, to say to you, no, you have to look at doing a new structure. And so I know that sounds a little odd when we put it with a relationship, but this can mean that how you feel a friendship starts, or how it's supposed to be, you have to break that down and rebuild it. So that could mean that you're doing more of the work at the beginning of the relationship, or perhaps you are getting yourself out of the house and off to group meetings. Maybe you're starting your own meetup group. Maybe you're getting more involved in the clubs and organizations and charities that you already belong to. So any of those things. It also says that if there's a friendship that you've been wanting to turn into a romance, maybe it's time to look at why that is not happening and see if you're just staying in this place because that feels safe. And so, because you're not quite in the relationship, maybe you need to step up and say, hey, I want this to be a love relationship. Or maybe it's just time to move on and say, all right, this is clearly not going to work with this person. Let me go find somebody else. Now, one of the things that could trip you up is the Mars, which is part of that yod, is sitting in your 4th house, which means it's very hard for you now to get out of the house. Maybe that's due to weather concerns. Maybe it's just that you get home and you feel all comfy and you don't want to leave. But those inconjuncts, those places of being uncomfortable, is your key, though, to success. And so we have the North Node up in that house of friendship, organizations, humanitarian efforts, charities, things like that. That means get up, get out of the house, even though you don't want to go, and go attend those types of meetings or charity events or anything where you're putting yourself around a lot of people. And then the other side of that is the Uranus, and the Uranus is sitting in your house of education and spirituality, which could mean going to church on Sundays or Saturdays, whenever your services are. So, and then also though, considering taking classes rather than just online classes, but get out into the world, or just go sit in a bookstore and in the little coffee shop at the bookstore so that you can interact with people there. Okay, Libra, you're doing this eclipse in your 410 with the emphasis being on the career house. And that means it's very important for you to expand your career by putting yourself out there. When the moon is elevated like this, you're easily seen, but that means that you need to put your name out there in lights. That is, if you want a raise or promotion, that you tell the boss that that's what you're interested in, and this is the direction you want your career to go. If you're doing your own business, this is a time to really focus on expanding the marketing. Or if you're starting a business, this is where you tell all of your friends and see what kind of support you can get. Now, down in the 4th house, we have Saturn Pluto here, and that says that the structure of your activities at home could be tripping you up. Maybe you come home from a long day at work, but you want to work on your novel, or you want to work on your side business, but you get kind of waylaid by the sofa and you end up watching Netflix for the rest of the evening. And so how can you break down your routines so that you can achieve your goals? It also may mean that you just need to shift the furniture around a little bit, move things around so that you have opportunities to, when you walk in, to see the work you want to do rather than see a giant TV. In Feng Shui, we want to set up our environment to support our goals. So if if I walk into your house and I see this huge TV, of course, TV then is on my mind. But if you maybe by your door, you place the couple of things to help you study or help you work on your business, then that becomes in your mind. If you go into your home office and it's all set up, ready to work, or if you have a corner of your place where your laptop is there, ready to go, this is going to encourage you to spend 5 minutes or an hour or 3 hours on those things that are really going to move the needle forward on your goals. Now, the temptation here, of course, is to do that Mars, and the Mars is sitting in the 3rd house, and it is about you thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I'm ready, and getting all caught up in negative self-talk, and that you have to pull yourself out of. And this is where you do that uncomfortable inconjunct, 1 towards the 10th house, and that says, how can I put myself out there, even if I don't feel I'm ready, even if I'm risking criticism? I need to do that. I need to find a way to get my name out there and tell the world what my goals are. And then the second arm of that inconjunct, of that yod, which is an inconjunct, I'm going to get my terms correct here. So the second part of that inconjunct, oh my God, I did it again. The second part of that yod is that inconjunct to Uranus in the 8th house, and that is, what are the resources that I have from other people? And so that would be starting with, do a gratitude list of all the people in your life who can help you. Then do a list of all the resources you have access to and start to realize how much the universe is actually supporting you. And when you do that, then you find you make real progress on your goals. Okay, Scorpio natives, you guys are doing this eclipse in your 3-9 houses, and with the moon up in your 9th house of higher education, spirituality, and legal matters. So if you're in some sort of legal matter, it is time for you to focus on all of the paperwork involved. How can you get people moving forward? Which parts of it are out of your control? Which parts of it are in your control? Look at how you can incrementally get more understanding of your options. Now, the opposite area is that Sun in the 3rd along with Pluto and Saturn, and this says that you may need to look at different options for yourself, look at different, to explore different ways through it. Now, if you're not doing a legal matter, maybe you're doing education, or maybe you're doing your spirituality, same thing. Are you caught up in negative thinking, pessimism, things like that? Because, it all boils down to, if you add optimism to whatever problem you're trying to solve, now you're looking for a solution. But if you are only thinking in a pessimistic way about your problems, then it's very difficult to see the solution. So, for example, if we're in a boat and the boat is sinking, but we are optimistic that we can find a solution, now we're going to be looking for ways to patch that hole in the boat. But if we're just sitting together saying, well, this is it, I guess we're going to drown, then we're not even getting up and looking. And that's the part of all of this that we can control. You may not be able to control negative thinking per se, but you can say, you know what? Negative thoughts are popping into my head. I can't control that. But I can, now that I've noticed that, start to think some positive thinking, like, yes, this is going to be something that I am going to figure out. I'm going to look for a solution to these problems. And so this might be that maybe you're looking at, your grades so far haven't been that good, but there are so many studies. There's so many study solutions out there, different ways that people have hacked studying to make it more effective. So go and look for that. Maybe it is that you want to do more travel, but you don't have the means. Again, so many solutions out there in the internet to help you find ways to finance travel, find how to make friends and connect with people while you travel, etc. And then if it's about your spirituality, to hone it down to what is it that you actually want to achieve. Is it that you want to have more of a connection with the universe? Well, that would start with some daily meditation, or maybe that you're doing some sort of spiritual action. Maybe you're doing a pilgrimage, or perhaps you are doing some charity work, or you're connecting with other people who are on your same spiritual path. Now, when we look at the Mars for you, it's going through your house of money and self-worth. And so looking first at the self-worth, oftentimes opportunities come when we feel we deserve it. And we have to start by looking back into our own past and say, where was the times when I did the things correctly, when I was a good person, when I helped others? And we bring that positive energy forward, and that helps us remind ourselves that we do deserve all the things that the universe has to offer. Now, additionally, it does say the Mars in that house of money, that there's a temptation to just try to spend your way to feeling better. And that's not what's going to help here. Because what we want to do is we want to go out on those arms of the inconjunct and do those uncomfortable things. And the first one would be that North Node in that 9th house, which says that we need to go and do those spiritual things. And that is no matter what. If you're in a legal matter and you're trying to solve that, if you're in an educational conundrum and you're trying to solve that, it's still solved through meditation, prayer, mindfulness, having an awareness of the bigger purpose in life. And then the other arm of that inconjunct is in the 7th house, and that says go ask people for help. Go connect with people who've been down this path already. Go find people who are supportive of you. And if every person you talk to seems unsupportive, just keep asking. Ask another person until you find somebody who can help you. So Sagittarius natives, you're doing this eclipse in the 2-8 with the moon in the 8th house. That's resources from others. That is your passive income sources, income from business, maybe income from spouse or family, as well as how do you do investments, how do you handle debt, how are you handling your taxes, and things like that. So, and that's where the moon is kicking in, saying maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe you know it's time to do investing, but you don't know where to start. Maybe you have been accepting money from other people, but now you want to be independent, and you have these opportunities. That's what this eclipse is about. It says you now can make that change over this next 6 months. So now the other side of this eclipse, the sun, the Pluto, and the Saturn are in your 2nd house. So it says first work on your sense of self-worth, and that is that you need to remind yourself that you're a good person, that you work hard. And again, you know, like if you say, oh no, I'm not, I'm really lazy. Okay, stop being lazy. Really, you know, kind of move forward with integrity. And that is not trying to change everything at once, but it's trying to change what you do over the next 5 minutes, over the next 1 day, over the next week. You know, keep your promises, be kind to others, you know, take care of the earth. Do those things, and what happens is your self-esteem rises, and then you become this person who can attract opportunities from all different places. Now, also, this does say look at your finances with that Pluto-Saturn, and whatever's not working, like if you do impulse spending, if you find it difficult to accumulate money, and transform that. Start by creating a written budget, you know, start by doing the discipline that it takes to budget, save money, you know, count the income that you have, keep track of things, you know, basically look at whatever sort of mechanism you have for keeping track of your money and shift it so it's more effective. Now, Mars is traveling through your own sign, and so you may have more energy during this period, and it's reaching out with those 2 in conjunct arms, the first one being in your 8th house, which means that you may hear of some amazing investments, and that's great, but take some action on it, even though it's uncomfortable. And we're not talking about, you know, taking every last dollar you have and throwing it into lottery tickets or something. We're talking about doing things in a mindful, very structured process. And that would start with, where could you get passive income sources that are very little risk? That might be that your employer does a 401k match, but you haven't set up your 401k yet. That can be just, you know, putting money into a brokerage account where they actually pay you a little interest, where you start to research, you know, buying securities. That might mean you looking at your own home and saying, you know what, I could Airbnb out the extra bedroom. So look at those sort of things. Now, the other arm of the inconjunct does go out into the 6th house, and that is your health and wellness. That is, are you taking care of your body? Are you exercising? Are you eating your vegetables? Are you drinking your water? Do those things, and that might mean that, you know, you are not necessarily getting your favorite foods. You're not getting to sit around as much. You know, it's an uncomfortable aspect, but doing that's going to just fill you with energy and really help you on your life path. Okay, Capricorn natives, this is a very strong eclipse for you because part of this eclipse is in Capricorn. It's hitting your 1-7 with the moon in the 7th house. This is about relationships for you. That is your intimate partner or your business partner, very close friends. And this is about how you can make a deeper connection with that person. Now, it's so interesting because the Capricorn part of that is going to be all of those planets in Capricorn. That is the South Node, Jupiter, the Sun, Mercury, Saturn, Pluto. We have this huge amount of planets in Capricorn. So you're already under a lot of pressure. So everybody else out there, be nice to Capricorn natives. They're going through a lot of stuff. but you also have more opportunities than any other sign right now. Jupiter is in your sign, protecting you for an entire year. And so you do want to take more risks. And that is, if you want to get into a long-term relationship, now is the time to tell that person you're dating that you want to take the relationship to the next level. If you're in a relationship that's just not working, maybe you want to take that into a place where you're getting counseling. Or maybe you have been through counseling and you say, you know what, that's it. I think it's just best if we both move on. But it is time, especially over the next 6 months while you're doing this eclipse, to make that decision. And you may make the decision and then the steps may unfold slowly, and that's perfectly fine. But it's more important that you start to see a way through what now feels blocked. And that's where things are going to open up for you. It is like going through a doorway. And so right now in the doorway, not much can get to you, but as you go through the doorway, now there is opportunity. Now, Mars is sitting in your 12th house, and this means that you may have trouble sleeping, or you may be staying up too late. You may be doing things to escape some of these decisions, and so you have to go out to those inconjunct arms and do those things that are uncomfortable. One of those things would be the North Node in the 7th house. That is to explore with your partner what they want and really define what you want in the relationship. Instead of you going back and forth with this person and saying vague things like, I don't feel that you're treating me with respect, or things like that, be specific. Like, when you show up late, I don't feel respected. Or, when you laugh at my choice, I feel like you're demeaning me. And so that very specific things can be dealt with. On the other hand, also look at, if you have been looking for a relationship but not really leaving the house, like you're dreaming about it, but you're not going out there to meet somebody, this is where that other arm for the Uranus in the 5th house says you've got to get out into the world and just start meeting people. And you might say to yourself, well, I don't know where to go, or all the places, there's nobody there, but go and meet those people who are in those places, because you don't know, they may have a cousin or a friend or somebody. It can open up the doors for you. So look to do that uncomfortable thing about getting out of the house. This is going to be good for you. Okay, Aquarius natives, this eclipse is hitting your 6/12 with the moon, part of this in your 6th house, which is your health, your routines, basically habits and things like that. And it's time to look at habits that are really counter to your success and getting rid of those. And they're just habits, just like if it's negative thinking, if it's eating too much sugar, but look at how you can very consciously, very mindfully get some new habits going. Now, you have a lot of stuff going on in the 12th house, and this says that those unconscious behaviors are the things that are tripping you up. Now, it is very understandable that in this very stressed out world that we're doing a lot of things on autopilot. And so this is where mindfulness and meditation come in, and these things would be extremely helpful for you. Now, you might say to me, you know what, my mind just goes and goes and goes. I can't meditate. And that's understandable. Aquarius has a very quick mind. But what you should consider is that if you're bad at meditation, you are going to get far more benefit out of even a little bit of meditation, because the improvement in your brain function is so significant. So just start with 1 minute, start with 2 minutes of just sitting there being mindful of your breath. And don't worry if thoughts come into your head. What's important is that after a few days of that, notice how you are when you're not meditating and how much your life is improving. 2 months of 2 minutes of meditation will change your life. So, and that is just such a small commitment to make. This also says, look at your structure of how you do things at home or behind closed doors, and make some shifts there. Basically, do the work behind the scenes so that when other people see you, they say, wow, that could be that at home you eat really healthy, but maybe you don't tell your friends, and then suddenly they see you and you've lost 20 pounds, and so they think it's amazing. Or, you know, take your downtime and use it for studying some new skill or, you know, creating something beautiful. But use that behind the scenes time to work on something outside of the limelight of other people. Now, Mars is in your house of friendships and technology, and this is that little warning to not get distracted and caught up in just going out and having fun with your friends when you could be actually working on something for your goals. But also, don't let electronic devices just really trap you in that constant distraction. You know, like you hear the beep and you look, you hear the beep and you look. But see if you can't turn off the devices for a little bit and really hear what the universe is saying. Now, to go out on those inconjunct arms, those uncomfortable paths, one of those is the North Node in the 6th, and that says, you know, take care of your health, look at your routines. So that is put yourself on a schedule. You know, get your Google Calendar out and start to schedule every single block of time so that you don't come to the end of the week and say, what did I do? Or worse, come to the end of a weekend and say, I can't even remember what I did. I had 48 hours where I owned my life and I didn't do anything significant with it. And then the other half is down in home and family. And this says connect more deeply with your family. You know, those could be the people at home. Those could be, you know, the extended family. It says clean up the house, get rid of clutter. You know, live in a place where you feel really happy, really feeling like it's comfortable. So making changes there will help your life path. And Pisces, you guys are doing the eclipse in the 5/11 with the moon in the 5th house. That is your area of children, also romance and risk-taking, creativity. And so wherever you've been feeling like you want to have fun or create something, or maybe it is that you want to have kids or you want to interact with your kids more, this is where you may be feeling emotionally blocked. And this is where you're going to need to focus your attention. And so we look up at the 11th house and with the sun and also Saturn and Pluto, and that's where we're looking at what are you thinking for your future? What is your plans? Do you have a goal board? Do you have a list of aspirations that you have? So, and to start to actually visualize those, to put that energy in motion, that would be good. It also says that how can we pull in technology maybe for dating, and that would be going on some online site, or perhaps we are looking at joining groups and organizations. Maybe you're looking to adopt, and so you need to look into organizations that do this, or, you know, new breakthroughs that they have for fertility and things like that. But maybe it's also gathering up your children and going out and doing some things that are things that you guys can do together, but maybe more charitable or ecologically minded. You know, maybe you go and build a house with Habitat for Humanity, or you go around and you're taking food to shut-ins or things like that, and doing that with your kids so that you have that bonding experience. Now, Mars is sitting up in your 10th house, and so the inclination is just to, you know, put your mind on your career and just work and work and work. But those arms of that inconjunct are going down into first your 5th house, which says, what are you doing to have fun? What are you doing to that expresses your creativity? Again, you know, grab the kids and go to a painting class, or go to a dance class where you can have some fun. That other arm of the inconjunct, the Uranus, is in that area 3rd house of siblings and neighbors. Gather up your siblings and go maybe have like a mini family reunion. Go to karaoke. Check out getting a new car, which would represent a new life direction. So, and as you do those things, you activate the sextile between the Uranus and the North Node, and that's what brings you success. And that's it. If you made it through this whole video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment in the comment section below. If you can't figure out where your planets are in your chart, send me an email with your date of birth, time of birth, and your place of birth, and I will send you a copy of your chart with a little bit about, how to find what you're looking for. My email is in the description box below. Again, thank you so much for joining me for this video. I want you to have an amazing year.